I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, February the 2nd, brought to you in part by Vitalix. Vitalix tubs are a convenient and economical source of energy to help your cattle get through this cold weather. Now available at MFA in and around Missouri and at Wildcat Feeds when you're in Kansas. I will be at the Vitalix booth at CattleCon Trade Show. It's booth number 1917 on Friday the 3rd at 11 o'clock a.m. If you guys are in the area at the trade show, come by and we'll visit for a little bit. Get the blue tub, go to Vitalix.com. Futures frustration. So on Tuesday we got perhaps the most bullish USDA cattle report of any kind ever in history, and your cattle board is down hard, especially feeder cattle, down nearly $3 on Wednesday right after. Those are supposed to be tightly sealed. Why was the board up big earlier in the week? We don't really know. But it's getting very frustrating that the board never does seem to cooperate. It almost does the exact opposite of what it should do, which would be cute. But you know, we're talking about real stuff here, and when you can't count on it to respond properly to a fundamental that was that strong, what good is it? And what good is the feeder cattle futures anyway? They converge at the very last day of trading, and that's it. You know, more than a few weeks away from your maturation of that traded month or your spot month, they have no more to do with what cattle prices are worth than the price of tea in China. They really do not abide at all, and they whipsaw back and forth. They respond more to the corn than they do anything, which you know, that does lend a little bit of credit to it. But you can't rely on them for anything. That pool is so shallow in the feeder cattle. CME really doesn't even want to have it. They just have it there for customer service. But that pool is so shallow, any fund manager that wanted to get in that and run it whichever way they want to, they could literally throw a dart at a list of numbers and make it that number. And now that our daily limit moves are so big, they could make it that number within just a few days. It's really getting ridiculous. Live cattle has a little bit more weight to it, but your live cattle futures were down also. Even your back months. Why would your back months of live cattle be down when we know that we're as short of cattle as we are? It's unbelievable. But I tell you what, if you guys that didn't notice the frustration with the cattle futures market on Wednesday, you weren't paying attention, and I literally drove all day on Wednesday, coming down to the CattleCon in New Orleans. And I talked to a lot of guys. Every single one of them, that's pretty much all they wanted to talk about, is how ridiculous the cattle futures market is compared to what the cash market is. And all of your feeder cattle auctions, of course on lighter receipts for the most part, were sharply higher, with your feeder cattle futures contracts sharply lower for no apparent reason at all. But let's talk about your board. On Wednesday, February live cattle were down 42 cents at 158.42. April was down 80 cents at 162.22. Back months of live cattle, they should have been sharply higher. They were down 35 to down 45. March feeder cattle down $2.90 after that bullish inventory report. Unbelievable. 183.25 for your spot March. April down $2.10 at 187.95. Back months all down big from $1.35 to down 157. March corn was up only 1.25 cents at 6.81 a bushel. March beans down 17.75 at 15.20 your few fat cattle negotiated sellers, they know what's up. They know that there's not many available fed cattle. They know how short bought these packers are. They're absolutely hand to mouth, and they're not giving in. They're not entertaining any kind of bids right now There's been zero trade direct basis in your 5-area feeding region so far this week, which is not that big a deal. Once we get into Thursday here, we're gonna see what's gonna happen, and it's gonna get fairly interesting. As I tell you guys regularly, those that hang out the longest tend to get the highest prices. Let's talk about your box beef cutout values. They were lower again. Choice cuts down $1.02 at $265.07. Selects down just 14 cents at $250.278. Choice select spread is getting even tighter, $12.29. It's probably a good thing because we don't have that many of the best grading carcasses out there. Your slaughter running pretty decent with a big revision to Monday. They backed it off quite a bit, but 375,000 through the first 3 days of this week. That's 3,000 less than last week, 13,000 more than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services, that's Dakota Moss there, officing at the Oklahoma National Stockyards Exchange building there in Oklahoma City. He's your LRP specialist. Check him out, give him a call, or any of the agents that work with him in and around the area there. You guys are going to need LRPs when you turn cattle out this spring. Get a hold of Livestock Risk Services. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Wednesday, sitting at 180.31, up another 30 cents, still on lighter receipts, getting very, very close to your CME last available cash feeder cattle index, which was only 6 cents a hundredweight difference. So they're running very close, and that is a really good way to track that. And it's about a day and a half quicker, always up to date, and it refreshes as fast as you can click the refresh button on your computer. Don't forget, Farmington Regional Stockyards in Farmington, Missouri has got that replacement special this Saturday, February the 4th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You can view and bid that sale on dvauction.com. They've got about 600 head for sure. They already had consigned. Going to be bigger than that by sale time. These are all dispersals or heifers that guys purposely put together for this sale. But all the cattle will be honest. You can buy with confidence there. They're doing things right there at Farmington Regional Stockyards, and you can feel comfortable supporting them. Talk about your big sales on Wednesday. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma. About like our other high volume sales, not too many head, just 1,400 head. Of course, they had a winter storm come across the southern plains and had kind of icy roads and things that were happening there. Really curbed receipts hard for El Reno there. But with a few cattle that they had on hand, sold very briskly. A few feeder cattle sold $2 to $3 higher. The few calves that they had on hand were sharply higher. Winter Livestock in Dodge City, Kansas had a really good sale, 2,700 head. They were up a little further north in the southern plains, weren't getting much of that bad weather, and the feeders there sold $2 to $6 higher. Calves $10 to $12 higher. Look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central and look at your best tested weights of steers in Dodge City, Kansas. I thought they were pretty impressive. 448 head of 7-weight steers in Dodge, average 757 pounds with a weighted average price of $185.38. 543 head of 8-weight steers, averaged 850 pounds with a weighted average price on all 550 head of them of $181.08. That's in the southern plains, guys. I tell you what, this market's higher. I don't care what the feeder cattle futures say. Your Zoetis stick-out sale of the day was Green City Livestock Marketing in Green City, Missouri. That's in the Green Hills of Missouri, north central Missouri. 3,500 head for a special sale there. Compared to 2 weeks ago, the market was just sharply higher. 2 weeks ago, they were in the doldrums there. Didn't have too big a sale, and the market was really tough. This week, they had a heck of a sale, all kinds of quality, a lot of bigger strings, and they sold sharply higher. Look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central. And Green City is a DV Auction customer. You can view and bid their sales every week on dvauction.com. But look at your best tested weights. 428 head of 5-weight steers, average 557 pounds with a weighted average price of $224.61. 627 head of 6-weight steer calves, average 641 pounds, weighted average price on all of those $205.89. My goodness. How about 359 head of 7-weight steers in Green City, average 730 pounds, $186.39. Heifers. Had a lot of fancy heifers there. A lot of them were kind of put together as replacements. Thought that they would sell for replacements. A lot of them didn't end up going as replacements. They've got a lot of feeder heifer buyers in that part of the country, and evidently still didn't have enough guys ready to get started again on some replacement heifers, even though we got that bullish inventory report just the day before. But 505 head, 5-weight heifer calves, average 550 pounds, weighted average price $196.49. You kidding me? That's like steers, guys. 523 head of 6-weight heifer calves, average 649 pounds, weighted average price $174.97. Give you some individual quotes around the circuit. How about Twin Falls Livestock Commission in Twin Falls, Idaho? They're my good friends there. And they sold 65 head, 812-pound steers way out in Idaho, guys, at 181 with an 8 as a front figure on the weight, guys. How about some of your other big-time sales? Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota, sells 169 near-beer steers, weighed 1067 at 177.50. My goodness. How about Bassett Livestock Market, Bassett, Nebraska? 76 head, 773 pounds, 197 and a quarter. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday, your Mackerson No BS top quote for the day, come out of Torrington Livestock Markets, and it's a doozy, guys. 219 head, 711-pound steers bring $2.10 a pound. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.